Oh, it's a hard life. Oh. Boom, boom. The beautiful music of Star Citizen by Pedro Camacho. That's just how I say his name now, apparently. No offense to anyone involved that's listening to me. Let's put my beautiful face on. Boom. There it is. How's it going? How is everyone today? Yeah, stuff. I just literally ran up the stairs because my father was like, "Can you print out this voucher for a meal? We can go to a restaurant we like, me and your mother, and the second person only pays £1." It's like, okay, yeah. But he was like, "Dad, I've started streaming." It's like, "Oh, okay." Like, "You want me to do it still though, don't you?" It's like, "Yes." So I was trying to work that out. He couldn't find the email. It's like, "Pedro's music is ending, father, and I can't hear you, don't worry." So my dad is very much like me, but very thrifty. We get money guilt, so it doesn't matter necessarily how much something costs or doesn't cost or whatever. It's to do with value you get out of your purchase. And if you buy something that you don't need or you don't enjoy, you get guilt. You get this sort of like, ugh. My dad is good at the moment. He has to go back to the hospital on Friday for the last consultation with the nurses pre-op. And I told him to go to see another oncologist or whatever, so he's fully grasping what's going on, because basically the surgeon's upset my parents. The surgeon has been very realistic or very brutal, belligerent, and he's turned something that they felt they could deal with into something that is like terribly scary. And I was like, look, everyone's very confident about it, it's just that your surgeon's been a bit of a dick and a bit sort of like, this is it, and I'm going to get into your lungs, I'm going to take them out with my hands, and I'm going to bite into them and bite the cancer out, and you'll be okay with that, right? So that's basically how they described it to me. So he was pretty sort of like, he scared them, he genuinely scared them, which was bad. But yeah, he's fine at the moment. So it is what it is, though. It is what it is. I, however, am pretty healthy. I'm like a fucking horse, mate. No, I'm not. I don't know how healthy horses are, and I'm not very good at running. So not like a horse, like a not entirely unhealthy fat YouTuber. That's what I'm like. Probably quite accurately. So some of the things we're going to talk about today are whatever questions I get asked. And if you want to ask a question about me, about my channel, about my life, or about Star Citizen, which seems to be more appropriate, then put question in brackets and ask whatever you fancy. Obviously, with the Star Citizen stuff, I research Star Citizen heavily every day, look at all the videos I can, and that sort of stuff, and poke the devs where I can, and look at Reddit and all that jazz all day, every day pretty much. Maybe not all day, but most of the day. Lots of research, and play the game a load. I'm not a Star Citizen, or I'm not a CIG or RSI employee, but I am a professional YouTuber who professional is really not the right word of what I do. I'm a YouTuber that specialises in Star Citizen, and I do it as my full-time job. So take that. A lot of the questions that I don't know, I will give a go at answering, but I'll say this is my opinion. So just be aware of that. So some of the things I want to talk about today are the fan kit. Because if you're a content creator and you're creating Star Citizen stuff, then it's still worth to keep the fan kit in mind, because you can see what sort of the IP and the spirit of what they're trying to protect for CIGR. So they're protecting their assets, they're making sure no one's going to make any merch or money directly off something like producing 3D models of their stuff and selling them commercially, things like that. It's all protecting them there, and they don't want any of your websites or anything to look like official Star Citizen stuff. So we'll talk a little bit about that. There was a Red Bull sort of like 1-minute trailer of a new show they're doing, and they're looking at 6, I believe, independent game studios, and CIG is one of those studios. And in that we can see, boom, this slide, but basically it's a little little teaser, and it's got Sean Tracy there. It's Sean Tracy or Steve Bender, one or the other. I think it might be Steve Bender. Oh, I don't know actually. I can't remember which one it is. And they basically talk, give you a little prefix or suffix or whatever to what the prelude, and that's the word I'm looking for, prelude to what they're going to be talking about, which is the development of Star Citizen, what it's like as an independent studio creating the game. But this slide is interesting because you can see Henry Cavill there, and you can see Gimli here, and you can see someone else here that I'm trying to work out exactly who it is. A lot of people have said a lot of different people, and no one can really agree on who it is. So who could it be? But I'm very much looking forward to this. This is from BoredGamer, and they are doing a series that will be... Oh, look how updated I am. I've even updated myself. Yeah, so doing a cool little series looking at that, which we'll retweet and look at, and if there's any interesting information that we didn't know before, we'll talk about a bit more. Boom. What else have we got? Got anything else interesting in my little snippets? Oh, it's one of the things I want to ask people is, what Star Citizen wiki do you use? Is it starcitizen.tools? Is this the most popular wiki? And what would you want information-wise on a wiki? Because I'm thinking about either throwing my hat in and helping with one of the wikis, or creating my own, or helping with one of the wikis and then specialising on a particular area, which would probably be ships and missions. But I'm curious about people's experience with the wikis. Do you think they're pointless? Do you think they're great? Would you prefer a different type of resource? Because yeah, as I said, I could do something that specialises in ships and missions, maybe meta and trading and money, economy stuff, and not necessarily even do it as a wiki. So I'm just thinking of getting more involved with Star Citizen's community stuff, and as I'm taking on an employee, might as well get the most money out of them as I can. Value for. Nice nerd glasses. Thank you very much, Mantis. Appreciate it. I'm gonna call you Mantis Ricker on here as well, because why not? Because that's what your name is here. So, got anything else interesting? Oh, I'm gonna be elaborating on something in more of a theorycraft video on some of the old roadmap stuff and comparing it to what we've got at the moment and trying to work out the direction of Star Citizen. So, one of the important things that's obviously changed in the last few days is the roadmap. Now 3.5 changed heavily, and I say changed heavily, that's actually not true. It's not that true. Salvage moved out of the roadmap, a load of stuff got added to the roadmap, some of which was from the Squadron 42 roadmap. It's got sort of like subsumed into 3.5, and obviously a lot of people are annoyed at the loss of salvage from the 3.5 branch, which admittedly I am as well. I do want salvage in the game. However, looking at the direction of what Star Citizen want to do at the moment, they're trying to get Squadron 42 out the door. They're going to prioritise features that are linked to Squadron 42 where possible. They're obviously going to do some persistent universe stuff and some stuff that's more specific to the persistent universe. But if they can focus their resources on getting Squadron 42 as good as possible, and then just bring as many of those features into the persistent universe at the same time, then there's no time lost. They're making the most efficient use of their time, and they're going to get a better Squadron 42 from that, probably. So expect some persistent universe specific stuff, but expect more of the Squadron 42 things being converted over to also being in the PU. Obviously a bit more polished or a bit different for the PU. Not polished, but you know, working for the persistent universe. Along with some extra persistent universe things. That's what I'm thinking that their direction is going to be, and I want to do a video on that later, really elaborating on that and talking about what Squadron 42 stuff they could be working on and bring in, and delays and all that sort of stuff, because I think it is disappointing that the salvage isn't in, but I can see why they've done it. I can see why they're not prioritising salvage over the new flight model, for example, and a load of this stuff that's in Squadron 42 that they need to get ready now to build upon more. So it makes sense, but still disappointing. But there's something else. Oh yeah, So I thought about doing like little Patreon videos, reading out comments and things, some of the more funny and offensive comments I get, such as BoredGamer's head looks so weird, the part beneath his mouth is really tiny, while the upper part of his head is gigantic, looks weird. But I occasionally just get people, I mean that's more funny than anything else, but I occasionally get people being really offensive, like, kill yourself, you shilly bastard, or whatever, and that's normally a lot more offensive than that. And I think, why are you so angry? Why? I'm not even, like, am I that Star Citizen White Knighty? I didn't mean to be. I like Star Citizen, I love the project, love the community. I try to be as neutral as possible. And I get comments, a mixture of people saying, you just regurgitate what CIGs say and you no value added, and I think, well, that's kind of what the news is, so yes, I do that. And I get a lot of people saying I just theorycraft, and I was like, that's a literally opposite opinion of what that person just said, but okay. So I'm always interested in that sort of thing. It doesn't normally hurt my heart and soul, but sometimes I'll read something and go, oh, that made me sad. But normally I'm pretty good with it. But I thought maybe making more comical video occasionally, maybe once a year or once every few months, about some of the comments I get would be funny or entertaining. The new GeForce drivers, boom. These GeForce 417.71 drivers gave me a significant improvement in Star Citizen with my Gigabyte GeForce 1080 Ti. I think it's like 5 or 6 frames extra I got consistently across recordings, and I was like, oh, that's, because I thought it was something that CIG did, and then I was like, oh, but it can't be, because it's literally only happened since my driver update. So check these out and tell me if you get a similar improvement if you've got a GeForce. Specifically, I suppose if you've got a GeForce 1080 Ti, but what else we got? What else we got that I want to talk about quick? Subcomponents were teased in the newsletter. Just a big case of subcomponents just being chucked out everywhere. So very, very, very messy. They all look a little bit like C4, which is weird. But I'm looking forward to physicalized components and subcomponents coming in. Bam. Shite. Let's talk Connie Taurus being pulled. Why are Connie owners punished day in, day out? I'm all for a spanking here and there, but my arse is sore. I'm actually quite upset the Taurus is out. It's not a major change to the roadmap, I'd say, but the Constellation Taurus for me is super important. It represents, at least for me anyway, with my thrifty brain, the sort of like natural progression.
Oh, beautiful.
Thank you very much, Kappa1. Appreciate it for the bit. So literally, it represents the upgrade path from Starter Ship to Avenger Titan to Cutlass Black to Constellation Taurus. That's the way I go. And yeah, I'm surprised that it got pulled from 3.5. I mean, maybe it still could make it in, or make it into a mini patch, because I'm assuming it's not that much work. Aren't they just changing the turret underneath? Isn't that its only change? It's got effectively a larger cargo bay, and it doesn't have the under turret. But yeah, I mean, it's one of the ships I like the most, because it seems to be the most valuable. It's a stripped down Constellation, and it's going to be a lot of groups' multi-crew first ship, especially people that buy stuff in game. Right, what do we got? What do we got? Could you mention the updated Star Citizen trading spreadsheet for 3.4.2? Feel free to link it, Berry Van Wijik. I saw it posted on Reddit the other day, and I opened it. When I opened it again this morning, it was gone. Do you think we'll ever get a Star Citizen HOTAS that we were promised? I don't like the term promised being thrown around so easily. Planned for, I'd like. The term promised gets just abused so heavily by people like, so many promised things have been changed. I was like, well, yeah, they have been changed. Deal with it. yeah, I think they'll definitely look at Star Citizen merch of all types. It makes sense. They don't want shit stuff though. Like, I'm kind of glad that Mad Catz did not make Star Citizen HOTAS. Just saying. What we got? What I got here? It's the medical officer from the new Star Trek. Oh, it looks a bit like him, doesn't it? The tardigrade. I've been keeping up on that lore case actually, the tardigrade versus, is it NBC? No, something like that. HBO. I want to buy the Mercury Star Runner, but it's not on sale. How can I get it? Will there be another sale? Yeah, it'll be in another sale at some point. It's so it'll be on sale when it's flight ready. It'll be on sale probably around October, November, December time, like those 3 months. And if there's any other Crusader ships that go on sale, it's likely to be sold at the same time. Or any other ship that has a similar role, they also sell at the same sort of time. You'll be able to get it in-game as well though, so don't worry. Will the game be going into beta in 2019? Star Citizen will not. Squadron 42 is planned to be feature and content complete by the end of this year, potentially. And it's potentially because we know there's going to be delays. They're planning for a Squadron 42 release in 2020 at the moment. What's the current plan for hangars? Originally our hangars were going to be our base and home, where we originally take off all our ships and vehicles from, rooms we can add, etc. And I think that's still the plan. They want physicalized hangars, they want physicalized HABs, and they want to have them in game, and expect them to be potentially moddable in the same way that they were going to be. The ability to add sections to them and buy more space for them, although you might have to move hangar because they do want them more physicalized, the private hangars anyway. They could have a mixture of private hangars and more public hangars and more sort of like flat type hangars and rental services and things. There's lots of different ways they can do stuff, but with object container streaming and server meshing, it looks like they're about to have everything physicalized pretty easily. As long as it works. Heads up, YouTube hasn't shown you AMAs as live in the left-hand sidebar lately. Maybe just me. I will check later, Sodwhite. No worries. CIG needs to drop the roadmap. They never follow it. I mean, okay. The roadmap gives a good indication of their intention for stuff. Stuff definitely moves in and out, but it's better to have that than nothing. Yeah, some features keep on getting pushed back, but a lot of features are in that they say are going to be in. What you need to be aware of is that some of that stuff does get delayed once or twice, so that can be 3 to 6 months. But it's, I think it's a good indicator for the community a good way for the community to hold CIG more accountable, and for CIG to see what the community want more with a lot of stuff as well. Currently I use Star Citizen tools, but in all honesty there's a lot missing. I would love it if you had time to make your own wiki sing as you have all these notes saved. I don't have all of the notes saved, but I have a lot of them. But I was thinking that it's probably a better idea to help with one of the other current wikis and just make sure that it's as full as possible. Keep on splitting it down and then everyone's going to have their own wikis and try and be in control of them, and it just seems ridiculous, doesn't it? Maybe I don't know. I don't 100% know yet. I have not decided. I was hoping a roadmap update would be including 3.7 and 3.8, not reworking stuff in and out of 3.5 and 3.6. Do you think we'll see a 3.7 and 3.8 on the roadmap before February? Yes, I do. But I am overly optimistic about some things like that. They said they were, last week they were still working out where everything's going to fall scheduling wise, so I would expect this week or next week to see more of 3.7, 3.8 sort of scheduling. Expect a lot of the Squadron 42 stuff to be shown in the Persistent Universe now, and then a bit more filling out of that with some gameplay loops, so salvage, probably repair, probably medical. What is your opinion on travel times? Is 12 minutes too long to travel from Olisar to Hurston. As long as there are things that can happen, things to do. So like I want some apps on my Moby class. I want more potential for more events to happen. So like distress signals, missions to pop up, interdiction in certain areas. Repairs need to be done on my ship because a component's randomly blown. Stuff like that. So as long as there's a lot to do, cool apps on your Moby class would be cool. That's sort of fine in a small ship because obviously it's a lot shorter if you're going to have a better quantum drive. So I want more choice in quantum drives, so even in a small ship, I want a really efficient, expensive quantum drive that can get me there a lot quicker. Great. So I don't mind those long travel distances between like one side of a system to another. I'm okay with that. What I'm not okay with is super long travel times from Hurston to the surface, and then from the surface back into orbit. If I'm gonna wanna do a load of mission running on Hurston, I don't want it to be 20 minutes each way. That's just ridiculous. But fortunately, Luke has already talked about this on Twerk's channel. He was in the chat chatting away, and he said that for 3.5 they are planning, hopefully, to cut that sort of like travel distance from ground to surface and vice versa. I think by like a third, which would be amazing. Into a third, so from 10 minutes to 3 minutes or whatever ish. It looks like the persistent universe development is aligning more with Squadron 42 roadmap. Will the persistent universe gameplay loops be prioritized on Squadron 42 priorities? What does this mean for sandbox gameplay in general? I think we're going to see obviously that Squadron 42 roadmap stuff come into the PU when it's sensible. They'll probably be a little bit more focused at least on the Squadron 42 stuff, but that doesn't mean they're going to completely ignore the persistent universe. They're going to get those loops from Squadron 42 into the persistent universe, and they're going to have some more extra ones as well, but expect it to be more Squadron 42 focused this year. Can I make a video on the 300i? Yes. I suppose we're going to talk about all we know at the moment. The thing is that when 3.5 goes live, they're planning to have that rework with it, and they're also planning to do loads of new sale stuff with it, so you can customize it, like give it a new paint job, potentially do its loadout and stuff before you buy one. So I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully they'll give us a bit more information on that within the next week or so. But whether or not, then yeah, I can do a 300i, 300 rework, all we know sort of thing. Hello, is there maybe coming another episode? Wax on, wax off. Hello, is there maybe coming another update to the roadmap? Heard rumours about a second update very soon. Yes, I think we'll get one. Well, should we get one every week? But it's whether or not we get a big update with 3.7, 3.8 on, which we have needed for, what, 6 months or so, at least? Which is pretty disappointing. Bad show, CIG, bad show. So yeah, I'm hoping they get that this week or next week. January is the time they do a load of their scheduling and that sort of stuff. So, from the perspective of increasing the popularity of the game and thus generating more revenue, what is the most needed mechanic in game at the moment? New flight model. New flight model, getting all the combat, AI and missions all working, so that we can actually do the core of Star Citizen. That's the most important thing by far. Because we need to be able to use ESP, we need to be able to fight, we need to be able to fly, we need to be able to have a meta. It's all super important for it to be a game. Because obviously we need all of the gameplay loops eventually. But you're right, Flint. Is VoIP working? Yes. You need to. It's off by default. You need to make sure you're in the right channel, and you need to tick your mic on. .17. the new GeForce drivers minimize the game every 30 to 60 seconds for you. What? You are a beautiful flower, and I love watching you grow. Not a question, just a statement of fact. Thanks, Brandon. Appreciated. Is it Brandon? Brandon. Will having a luxury ship in Star Citizen have any purpose in terms of earning money, or will it be purely there for showing off? So, the multi-crew ships the multi-role ships, the luxury ships may have multiple roles. Typically, there'll be something like a luxury version of a ship that's multiple roles that have better equipment, maybe because of that, or they might be a bit more focused on things like the 600i. There's the exploration version. That's going to be a very good exploration ship. Might not be as good as a Carrack, obviously, but it's going to be able to do stuff in style. So it's a little bit of not just showing off, they will have function as well. It's not entirely form over function. And I think there might be, if you've got living quarters and stuff, VIP transport missions and things like that. How hard do you have to work to hide your porn for streams? Porn is on an entirely different system. It's all gated. It's like you know, like Battlestar, when they're not connected to any networks. As soon as the stream goes up, everything else goes down. Can't get these Cylons looking at my porn, mate. Are we going to be able to sell loots from killed NPCs or store them permanently? When we have physicalized inventories, I believe so. The idea with physicalized inventories that was coming with 3.6, which I need to check to make sure it still is, because I haven't actually looked much at. Yeah, physical inventories is still for 3.6 at the moment. They should be loot. They should be physicalized things we can pick up off people. I think that's the plan anyway. But eventually, 100%, you'll be able to loot people's entire bodies, ships, scrounge components, rip the stuff out. What's the purpose of a media variant ship? Okay, so there's the Mako news van from the Reliant series, which is supposed to record in-game events and things, but we don't know much more than that. The expectation is that people will use the they will use their render-to-texture tech so that you can stream directly to another screen in game, maybe, but it might be you recording events as part of missions, it might be you recording events and sending it as data to NPCs, or something like that. We don't entirely know. But there will be a gameplay loop with that. Thank you very much. This is a Mac Attack. Love your face. Appreciated. It's a beautiful little pirate face. Thank you very much for the hosty Bob. Appreciated. Is it a raid? I'm not down with the kids. Imagine Casino in Lorville. Spend off your money. I wonder if they will have gambling in game. It's an interesting one. And if they have Mobigas apps, then I will try and make a casino as quick as I can. Like I did in Eve. Back in the day. Right. What else have we got? What's wrong with the trade panels? It's really slow to sell. Is there a timer for selling cargo? They're kind of bugged, and yes, once a minute you can sell certain quantities every minute, basically. And that's what I found. You can just sell it in certain quantities. They're bugged as hell a lot of the time. How positive in percentage are you that ArcCorp and its 2 moons will remain to make it into 3.5? I don't know. 80%? 80% for everything in there at the moment, except for the flight model, which I'm 100% sure will be in there. 99% sure it's going to be in there. Can never really be 100% sure of anything. Are we going to be able to sell loots from... We just talked about that.
Rubs bald head for good luck. Squid 3, squid 4, bored egg.
Thank you. I appreciate you lubbing my squid head for good lub. Thanks, JP Sandman. I can't words. Who needs the words though, eh? Is there any information about the required farm to buy ships in game? I mean, you should farm 100 hours for a ship. Well, there's ships to buy in game now, and they're balancing the time that it should take for you to be able to buy them from starting ship or from whatever appropriate ship it is to then get to that next ship. So like you have the Prospector, which is 1.6 million. I was going to say euros, Alpha UEC, but they're still working out the hours for each ship. And one of the other things is that certain if you've got a caterpillar, you can just do cargo and make a load of money. If you've got a prospector, you can make a ton of money just straight up in it. That's super easy compared to people struggling from a starter ship. But those starter ships can do some of those combat missions and things and bounty hunter missions reasonably easy. And the more you do of those, you can get some much better ones for much better payouts. So why would they take out stuff in the roadmap like the mercenary work and insignificant things of that nature that no one's asking for to make room for salvage and more important aspects of play? It's because they have certain teams working on certain things, and at the same time as working on things like the mercenary work or whatever, they are fitting in lots of other stuff.
Do you think Chris and Sid can count to 7? Isn't on the roadmap. 2013 to 2020 S42 release, 7 years. Chris produced a movie called Lucky Number Sleevin'. Could this mean?
Why didn't it say 4.0? I don't know why it didn't say 4.0. How weird. It could mean 4.0. Thank you very much, Heavy Bob, for the donation. Very much appreciated. It is strange that 7 isn't on the roadmap 3.7, and he did make Lucky Number 11, and 7 years. It's all adding up. But yeah, with a lot of the stuff they're working on, there's loads of stuff on the roadmap which is connected to other things or is quite minor, and you do see stuff appear in-game that wasn't mentioned in the roadmap at all, but a lot of these things are being worked on at the same time as others, so they sort of like fit them in. Will there be any discount sales in the near future? Occasionally you get some stuff around Easter time, so end of March. Will we see some more gameplay videos? Your gameplay videos are immensely entertaining and enjoyable. Yes, I'm going to start doing more gameplay videos. I want to get a gameplay video out every other day, and then think about getting 2 videos out a day soon. It's the sort of like new thing I want to do with the channel, especially seeing I'll have someone full-time working with me. I might try and get up the Los Inga de Roberts Hunger Games that I participated in later today. That was very enjoyable. I was in a ship that was being attacked, hiding in the toilets for one of the things, and then there was a race. It was pretty good fun. It was a good laugh. What do you think about weapons not being allowed inside main cities, while smugglers may use them in cities with serious consequences if they are caught in any way? Yes, I think that's the intention. They want people to be able to carry weapons in certain places and be able to smuggle them into others, and maybe if you've got a high enough security rating, and like if you're really trusted with high rep, maybe you can just carry a weapon. It's going to be different per city and per world and stuff though. They're still working stuff out. What do you think about inverting quantum travel speeds? Meaning small ships jump faster than bigger ones. No, I like big ships jumping faster and more efficiently. I want to buy the Macrostar on it. I'm sorry, we talked about that earlier. Will the Vulture arrive with salvage, or will salvage be limited to the Reclaimer? I don't know when the Vulture is coming. It's quite possible the Vulture could come at the same time as salvage now. Are you planning on trying to do a UK office tour this year? Yes, I've already requested one. Haven't had anything back yet. Would love to hear anything you can talk about if you do. 100%, I will try and get an interview with everyone or a member of staff there that I can then talk about my trip a bit more. The interview's good because I can occasionally get bits of what I've seen in the office tour in there, so I can at least talk about them because then they're public knowledge as part of the interview. We've talked about that, with the character now out of concept and being fully worked on, it is indeed in full production. What's your guess for a release time window? Obviously this year, 3.7, 3.8, don't know which. I do full screen, not full screen windowed. Will CIG design a new Greg's pasty for Star Citizen, especially to alleviate Piers Morgan's populist demands for reducing queue sizes? It's not on the roadmap. Not currently, anyway. Do you think Chris and CIG can count to 7? No. I've already answered that one though. Bigger named games these days tend to have sex relations in some way or shape or form. Do you think Star Citizen and or Squadron 42 will have these kind of relations integrated into the story or gameplay? No, I do not. I think you might meet characters that potentially have relationships, and like you have the Kovalex Gundo investigation mission where the woman is asking you to find out what happened to her husband that died there, because they were blaming him whatever for the insurance. And I think obviously you have RP players getting married and stuff in game, but I don't think they will be exploring especially sexual relationships in game, certainly not in the same style as Mass Effect. It doesn't make sense because your character feels more neutral than that, the way that you're just sort of like part of an interactive movie and you're participating in that, and it's not your story until the persistent universe. That's what it's sort of like feels like it's become to me. There's lots of different pathways you can go, and obviously your skill is important, but I don't think they'd do, especially when they've got so many AAA actors, the sexualization of them. And it's certainly not in a Mass Effect way. So I don't think you'll have anything beyond friendships with characters, especially in Squadron 42. Do you think we would see the first of a second system in the game this year? I think we might see something like that at CitizenCon. They are planning, if possible, to get Stanton with all its sort of like major cities and planets done this year. They said pretty much probably Microtech, and if they have time, Horizon, which is the cloud city above Crusader, which would also mean that the cloud tech for Crusader would need to be done. Do you think we... Oh, no, sorry, literally what I just read. Lots of people saying Mac Attack. Thank you very much. Love your face. Do you think Chris and CI... We've read that 1,000 times now. Have you noticed your ship's HUD disappearing, such as the throttle and quantum and crosshair? Okay, I know that is a bug. I haven't really noticed it much for me in the ships that I fly. Board question, do you think Chris and CIG... Oh my god, it's the same question. I used to love the Origin ships in concept, but I find their interior to be incredibly disappointing. What sort of in-ship entertainment / gameplay do you think we'll see to keep us busy on long hauls beyond patching up worn components? So I think there'll be events and missions that will just come online as you're going through, so distress signals, obviously service beacons. I think there might be random hazards and things like that might pop up. I'd like to see some physics games, so maybe cards, maybe basketball, beer pong, whatever, some pool, whatever they can do with the engine that's sensible. And I think the thing that I'd like to see the most is Moby-class apps, and I'd like to see a system where people can make Moby-class apps and games and stuff for Star Citizen that can then be vetted to make sure they're appropriate for the game and then grabbed like an app store. Oh, that'd be so good. It'd be so good. They have a rough ETL and space prisons. They're adding more of the lore and reputation gameplay in 3.5, but they moved the feature lore and reputation version 1 out. So what I mean by that is that there are bounty hunting missions that are planned for 3.5. They've got the plans for security to chase you now and things like that for 3.5. But space prisons and actual hard sort of like punishments beyond them shooting you it's not on the roadmap yet. Should CIG prioritise getting the current bugs worked out and more stable before adding more content to ships? So they shot themselves in the foot by sort of like polishing the game to the level they sort of do before releasing. Like, I think we'd get a game much faster if they didn't polish and they just chucked it out, and yeah, we're going to have buggy time, but then they can run multiple live environments and we'd get content out quicker. But I mean, again, it would be buggy as hell. So maybe what they're doing is better. I just think there's a balance now for what CIG do when it comes to stability to stuff they're getting out. I desperately want the new flight model in, and I want it to not be trash. 3.5 should be live end of March 2019, which is this year. Why did my parents get divorced? Because they hate you, Billy Jenkins. It's your fault. Favourite series of Blackadder, favourite character, Not the first season. It's the second season. The second season's great. I mean, I like them all. I do like them all. But I think probably the second season. It's the with Queenie. What else have we got? What else have we got? We have toilets just for aesthetics or future use, or we call it Shart Citizen. I think you're supposed to use the toilets and shower facilities every so often. They've got sort of like light survival mechanics and the player status that they plan on coming on board at some point this year for the persistent universe. It's in Squadron 42, I think, planned for the first quarter. And basically what this will have is you need to eat, drink, wash, shower, poo, probably sleep. Otherwise you get debuffs, I believe. The upcoming roadmap seemed a bit light on ships beyond small reworks. Do you think they're working on a few straight-to-flight ready ships instead? I think that's part of it. I think that a lot of the stuff is Squadron 42 ships. I think there's a reasonable amount of ships that they haven't told us exist, that they've got done or planned. And also, a lot of the ships have been done for Star Citizen now that aren't massive. Or haven't been recently within the last year or 6 months been concepted. Do you think we'll get a true leap forward to multi-crew this year? There's a lot of multi-crew features coming online, I mean, and turrets are a lot better, but I think physicalization of components and subcomponents are going to do a huge amount for ship customization and multi-crew gameplay. The other thing is getting that group system in. They're going to be improving the group system from every patch, but we should have very soon, potentially in 3.5, probably in 3.6, shared group missions and things like that. What do you think will be the most multi-role ship for the basic player? Cutlass. So, yeah, Cutlass or Taurus. When plays my freelancer Miss in Arena Commander? Thank you. Well, I want to see multi-crew ships in Arena Commander as well, and in Battle Swarm. I hope they do that. I don't know when though. Do you know if they've talked about getting rid of the giant orange death wall in Lorville, and notice your ship can clip through a lot of parts of the buildings, so this is probably why they have it. Yeah, I don't know exactly what the plan is for that now. Obviously, they want armistice zones to go away, and they want areas like that to be dealt with defense turrets and security forces and things like that. The shields around the cities, I don't know what they're going to do. They might have flight corridors. They just might have you shot out the sky if you stray too far. They could probably get rid of them, but I think they're still working it out. Are you aware that the roadmap is not updated? What? It's been updated. It's updated on Friday. there are no children in the Star Citizen universe. Will there be a law to make sense of this? Probably not. They might talk about them in lore, children as if they exist, but they're not going to be children characters, and they're not going to be children NPCs, because people would kill them. Only just joined the stream. What are the delays? So the delays basically are salvage has been moved out of 3.5, and so has the Constellation Taurus, and some other features sort of been moved out, but they haven't entirely. Like the lore and reputation system has disappeared from 3.5, but they do have other features which contain a lot of what that lore and reputation system was going to be that's now in 3.5, so... Is there anything you're aware of relating to the reworked or possibly new larger mass driver cannons? Please let me put big holes and stuff. I mean, there's going to be a load of different weapons and weapon types that we have not seen yet or not in game yet, and a huge amount more customization for ships. Everyone is talking about updates to the Moon pushback. Do you know what those improvements are going to be? They're going to just update them for the newer systems. They're going to get them ready so they can become actually parasite craft that can dock with stuff, like the Constellations. And they'll get a bit of a balance and stuff like that. I don't think there's going to be anything major. Reposition you in the seats a bit better, stuff like that. The roadmap of the Squadron 42, we can see the Titan suit. Do you think gameplay will be or feel like in Titanfall? Oh, I love Titanfall so much, and Titanfall 2. It's one of my favourite games ever. I like any Source game, to be honest. I love the Source engine. Are there maybe more than just one suit? We don't know. The suits are supposed to be originally for utility use, but they're also a military use, so I suspect that means more than one suit. I suspect there's going to be a reasonable amount of armaments and choices for them, but we don't actually know too much about the Titan suits. They're not as big as a Titan in Titanfall. They're like very heavy. They're like almost Hulkbuster size, a little bit smaller than Hulkbuster size armor, so a bit smaller than a Titan in Titanfall. Is there anything announced regard to bases and personal property? Well, some stuff. So you're going to have land claims. So in UEE space, you need to place land claim to own land on planets. And then you can build outposts there. In non-UEE territory, you can just build wherever the fuck you want, as long as you've got a pioneer. There might be some other ways of building and dropping turrets and stuff, so you can have your own outposts and like effectively live on a planet, exploit the resources of that area. In cities and on certain planets, you'll be able to rent and buy habs and hangars directly from like places like Lorville, and they will be physicalized addresses. So at least the plan is to have physicalized addresses for at least an amount of habs and hangars. Obviously there will be public ones as well. Yeah, and you'll be able to customize stuff. They want full persistence in, so you can customize your rooms and things. Should CIG focus some resources on Arena Commander with a new flight model? AC seems neglected to me, considering Star Citizen as a sandbox, and should be easy to add to game modes. So they do want to put a team in dedicated to Squadron 42, Arena Commander and Star Marine. So I assume they'll do that at some point if they haven't already. And then at the same time as the new flight model going in, I suspect AC will get a few tweaks here and there as well. So it needs to be made appropriate so it works. I mean, it's the best test bed for PvP. It gets the quick lifespan, bam, 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 get a lot of games in, you can see what works, what doesn't work. Do you think they will make larger outposts more common, like villages or small cities? Yeah, I think they'll be more common the more things they add to their procedural generation tech, so they can have little hamlets, little cities, little junk towns and things. Yeah. Giant outpost, outcrops of outposts. Any thoughts on multi-crew beyond just turrets? Most systems are available from the pilot seat. Multi-crew seems very far from what was promised. Yeah, I mean, there needs to be a lot more to the game. for more multi-crew. We need repair, we need the permission system and security, so we can actually give certain permissions to certain people. Those physicalized components are going to be really core to that, and we need those systems to require attention and give enough performance if you have someone actually doing them and operating them, that it makes it worthwhile. They need to be adding significant lifespan to large and multi-crew ships by having someone operate that terminal. If you could invite a celebrity to Discord to play your favourite sci-fi character as your crewman, who would it be? Picard's pretty up there. Yeah, I mean, I love Patrick Stewart. I think he's amazing. Brian Blessed would be amazing as well. Could we see a bigger focus on alien ships this year? Well, I mean, there's definitely a bigger focus on alien ships this year than there has been previously, because they're getting all the Vandal ships done for Squadron 42. But yeah. In the release version, how many systems will there be? We don't know. And the term release is very weird for Star Citizen. So I'm expecting that by the end of 2020, we should have some more systems, potentially. I'm thinking more like Star Citizen Beta a little bit later than I've previously thought now, maybe end of 2021 for a Star Citizen Beta, and I'm expecting 4 to 5 systems around that time, and then by the time we have like a release, more like 10 to 20, so like around that, and then they'll be adding systems as they go from month to month, would be my expectation. Why doesn't CIG/Chris Roberts start overestimating their development time substantially? Then maybe surprise us with something ahead of schedule. They must be getting tired of missing estimates so badly. I mean, they only miss it with certain things so badly. I mean, and they've definitely been terrible with estimates before, but over the last year they've been pretty good compared to what they have been previously, I suppose is what it is. So yeah, no, I'd rather them do it the way they're doing it. I just rather them tell us more frequently what is happening and give us a bit more information, a bit more context of what's happening. And when it comes to scheduling stuff, talk to the community about what they're planning to schedule when. It makes people feel like they're more involved, and they could probably get some feedback on their scheduling as well. How far away do you think we are from the Cutlass Blue? It's a weird one, because the Cutlass Red is in the roadmap for Squadron 42. Bam, bam. Squadron 42, ships and vehicles. Is it Q3? Yeah, so it's in the roadmap for Q3. Let's bring this up on screen for you guys. For Q3 2019 for the Cutlass Red. I suspect the blue will be done at the same time. Can you talk about your sponsorship deal with Star Citizen? I don't have any sponsorship deal with Star Citizen. I'm a Star Citizen fan that makes a YouTube channel. I wish they fucking paid me. I deserve to be paid. But I don't have anything. I didn't get a computer from them like some content creators have done. I have, however, received a cup, a teacup and saucer from them when I went on an office tour once. And I haven't accepted or received anything else from CIG. I find it weird that people think that I have, because I'm not sort of like, I would just say if I did. I do not see a problem in, if you do take something from someone, if you are promoting them or whatever, just disclose it. It's fine. Would it matter if I was taking something from CIG if I disclosed it? No, it wouldn't. Well, I don't think it would. Or at least people, I suppose, people could make their own decision on the information, but I do not receive anything from them. But thanks for the question. Do you... oh no, I've lost all the questions now. They've all gone down. 3.5 is still end of March 2019. Yeah, so Q1 2019. Bigger focus... when do you think we'll see a new concept ship this year? Mid-February is typically what happens for the first ship of the year. Thanks for your work, Bored. You're a legend. I appreciate it. Everyone's a legend. Everyone's unique. Go fucking team. Woo! Except for stupid people, they're fucking idiots. Once Microtech is in and Stanton is complete, needs Horizon and Crusader to be complete for that, because Crusader's just a placeholder at the moment. Will we see the next solar system soon after? Yeah, so there's 3 solar systems that are proximate to Stanton that they said they might do. Terra was one of them, which I expect will not be done until much later, because it's quite a built-up system, very important one. But there's Magnus and Pyro, and these are, one of them is the headquarters for Drake, but they're both pretty easy to do, with not much actually being there other than that. There's like a lava planet, and one of the planets is like a moon, basically, with a single biome, so they're really fucking easy. They could probably bring them both online at the same time. Come on, CIG, you've got your work cut out for you now. But yeah, so as soon as that standard system is done, I suspect to see Magnus and Pyro pretty damn quickly afterwards. I mean, they've got parts of Lear done. They've got parts of the Odin system done, which is at least one of the systems in Squadron 42. They've got part of the Nyx system, which is Delamar. Will tractor beam functionality come to the reworked Pyro tool? I actually think it's going to have pull. So yes, push and pull. When will the Freelancer Mist be usable in Arena Commander? I don't know. I literally don't know about that. Are animals and creatures planned for 3.5, 3.6, etc.? So they're building out flora, but fauna is obviously very much needed. I want animals. We've seen some Oni crabs. We've seen them sort of start doing space whales and sandworms and things, but medium-sized to small animals.
Sexy, raw.
Oh, thank you very much. Jadis, thank you very much for the sub. Laura55, you're superb at what you do. One day in the far future, if you get bored of Star Citizen, hope you find something else to put your passion and obvious talents.
Oh, beautiful.
Is it going to read it out now? No, it's not. But I love you. Thank you. Avocado King, woo! I'll do some other stuff on the channel as well as Star Citizen anyway. I was going to do Artifact, but Artifact seems dead. However, I enjoy Artifact. I'll probably just play some other cool games, survival games, co-op games. It will all be multiplayer stuff. But almost always core of Star Citizen. I've BoredGamer as a brand though, and Zin working with me means that I can explore a lot more cool things that we can do together. But yeah, I'm expecting to see animal stuff this year, some animal type things, but I'm not entirely sure what and how it's going to be implemented. Probably see the Oni crabs first, the Hurston rats. Why should CIG employ developers to create gameplay mechanics for an alpha compared to focusing on parts of the game which will perhaps make or break Star Citizen, like technical engine changes? There are 2 things that can be worked on simultaneously. Is there any information about the Xi'an multi-crew about a Xi'an multi-crew ship? No, but obviously they need one. Thank you very much. Fave lore post of 2018. I really liked the series about the Mercury Star Runner. I thought that was really well done, and it tied into the lore. I thought it was pretty cool. There were some other cool ones. I can't remember any of their fucking names though. Alfred, that was from Tim Tams. Thank you very much, Tim Tams. Alfred. Bribing for mod rights. I'll need to resub when I get home as well. You are a mod, aren't you? Have I not modded you? Oh, Alfred, I'm so sorry. Alfred is... should be one of my mods on the Twitch. Let me mod him now. You are now watching BoredGamer admin. Boom. Pause. / mod... mod, bam. You know what I mean? Bribes work for modding. Thank you very much, appreciate it, and thank you very much for your support and help, Alfred. Don't love you as much as Huntress, but there's room to expand to Huntress levels of love. Hey boss, utility Titan suits for mining and other non-combat needs. What do you think? Yeah, I mean, Raz, they talked about originally the suit is supposed to be for utility before becoming militarized, so 100% I think 100% is too strong a term, which I should stop using. Very high likelihood that that is the case.
This just popped up and told me I had been subbed for 4 months.
Thank you very much, Afterman. I'm glad you enjoyed something for so long. Thank you. I think he got mod. I think he was supposed to have mod, wasn't he, Quantum Monkey? I can't fucking remember. I don't know what's going on anymore, mate. Do you want a blue name? Have you not? Oh, shit. Can't you just change your name to blue? Isn't that just something you can do in Twitch? Any words about when they might include a first major asteroid belt like the Aaron Halo in Stanton? I don't know. They could get it in this year, or it could be something they continually add to the Stanton system after they finish it, like points of interest. It is important because it's sort of like the customs gate area, as well as I understand it, and it would be a great place for pirates to hide. So they could get it in. They could get it in this year, but I don't know when. Would it be possible to drink a coffee after you woke up in your bed and then get, I don't know, a buff if you drink it to be faster, and if you drink it too much... What? I think that just general thirst and hunger will be able to be quenched by occasionally drinking and eating, and if you don't do it for a long enough time, you may get a small debuff, which would be like you won't run as fast, or your stamina goes down a bit quicker, or characters comment on how tired you look. Thank you very much for all the subs and all the love. I very much appreciate the general support. It is, thank you. I think it was the right thing to do with Star Citizen, just to sort of like be quite blunt and interactive with the community. I don't fucking know what I'm talking about. I just, thank you. I appreciate you guys. I can genuinely do. Do you think they will eventually make you the in-game news anchor? I think there are a lot of better choices, but I will definitely do that in-game if there's a possibility you can do that as a career, and then you can make proper UEC from it. Or, and if I can also stream IRL with it and make it part of the channel, fucking great. I plan to, when the game's like live, I plan to keep up on Star Citizen, keep poking the bear with it, as it were, seeing what works, doesn't work, keeping up patches and patch notes, but then playing it a lot more and doing lots of guides on it. Eventually, I suppose, if the game is only getting a major update and is pretty stable, then it will have to be a mixture of guides and gameplay. Are there any indications when the cargo system or the simple hull A will be ready for the game? They've got the hull C, which is required for Squadron 42 in for Q4 2019, and I'd expect to see potentially the hull A and B either Q4 2019 or Q1 2020. That's the only indication I have, the Squadron 42 roadmap. What do you think the big reveal for CitizenCon will be this year? We could see another system, jump points, animals, Vulcan support, or Vulcan integration, I suppose you'd say. They'll probably show off like Microtech, and maybe Horizon. (2025-26) reasonable estimate for release. I think that's a little bit overestimating how long it's going to take them.
Tricksy little hobbitses.
The game has improved immensely since I first subbed 18 months ago.
Earthcom, thank you very much for the resub. Very much appreciated. Oh, and thank you very much, Neil Skimmer, for becoming a member on my YouTube. So I sound more excited about that because I'm trying to promote that at the moment. People kick on the join button on YouTube. But thank you very much, Anna. I feel like I've taken away Twitch subs now. I'm so sorry. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. 18 months, fuck, as well. I'm such a monster. It looked a gift horse in the mouth. Yeah, so Star Citizen's a billion times better than it was from 3.0, which was broken as hell. But thank you very much, Mr. Pinks. Woo! But it wasn't hard to get less broken than it was in 3.0. I mean, 2.6.3 had a reasonably fun meta, and I quite enjoyed the combat and the flight model in it, and 3.0 just seemed to break a load of stuff. So I'm really looking forward to the new flight model. Star Citizen is starting to deliver, admittedly, but it's still slow. But it's still cool. I mean, I love the community, I love the project, and love what they're doing. But when do you think we'll stop getting wipes with every update? I think when we have full persistence. So I think probably towards I think at the end of this year, we'll stop getting as many wipes. At least there's the potential of that.
What's up?
What's up, Raccoon Gut? Planes, spaceships, my light, which has blinded me because I looked directly at it. I want to play this game before I'm dead. Do you think that's possible? I hope so. You can play it now. It's not released, but it's like an alpha. I'm hoping there's nothing terribly wrong with you. Apologies if there is, and I'm very sorry if there is. Eat healthy, do a bit of exercise, and before you know it, you won't be dead. On a less serious note, any talk on aliens and planet roaming animals? This is something I'm hoping we get at CitizenCon this year. It's something I wanted for ages. I'm actually thinking about it. They probably might reveal more of the Vandal and potentially look at the other alien races this year in CitizenCon stuff. So, roaming animals are going to be so important. I want them. Because we don't have enough PvE stuff to fight at all, do we? Like, we've got derpy ships at the moment and derpy on the ground AI, and we need them both to be good. And having animals and stuff there to shoot, make me happy. Murder of innocent animals, not cats. Would you rather, what planet or system would you have in Star Citizen if you had the choice? Sol, Earth. 100%, and then Terra. I want those ones. They're big and amazing. If I could say, can we have one finished entirely now? It was just like magic. Yeah, Sol and Earth, and then the Terra system. After that, considering we've seen pool tables and basketball hoops, do you think bowling will make it into the 30th century? Yeah, as a nice, simple, easy physics game for them as well. Bam, 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 bam. In your opinion, clans will be a population cap on clans and groups. Super alpha clans can ruin certain games like Ark. Any thoughts? So I've actually talked about this before. I think that they need to have thought about max org sizes in the past, and they haven't. They're something they're going to need to address in the future, because otherwise you'll just get super huge orgs, and that can ruin games. But I mean, they can mitigate that by having. If you have more than a certain amount of members of an org, you could get taxed more by the UEE, or taxed more when multiples of you are in a system together, things like that. But I do think there either needs to be a limit or some form of restriction or something to deal with that, yes. We'll sort it out later. If anyone needs a name colour changing or whatever, I don't fucking know what people are talking about. Just PM me or bother one of my mods. They might be able to do it. I love mods. I love you guys. Mwah. Would you rather A, finish this system and one more, then focus on gameplay features, roles at a faster pace by 2020, or B, have 5 to 6 systems, but the features would be developed much slower? One system first, more gameplay features. Yeah. Because otherwise we just have 5 to 6 empty systems. I need more gameplay in the system we've got. The system we've got at the moment is huge. It just needs more to fill it. Do they have a plan for Lorville? Yes. Not entirely sure what it is. But there's more stuff being added. They're going to be opening it up more. There's going to be more missions hooked in there, things like that. Any idea when the Carrack will be on sale again or available for CCU other than anniversary sale? Probably a couple of times before that at least, but I'm not sure when. Do you have any planned visit to the CIG headquarters? I haven't got anything planned for this year yet. I obviously will go to CitizenCon and BoredGamer if they're in the UK this year, but obviously BoredGamer will be, and I'm pretty sure CitizenCon is going to be. The UK studio, I've messaged them to say have got studio tour ? So hopefully they'll get back to me with that. Do you think CIG will ever let other than themselves design ships? They let other people design ships for the next great starship, but obviously they did then say they need to entirely rework the Redeemer, and it's becoming a gunship now. I don't know. Maybe in the future, like in the far future, they'll do something again. You once said that you love to grind and prefer to start a game in a single ship to work your way up. Which ship would you choose? Avenger Titan. Because I don't feel like it's too cheaty going in an Avenger Titan to start with. If I'm doing that, if I'm starting from the bottom, I feel like I'd still be able to say to people, yeah, I started from pretty much the bottom and ground up to my Idris. This game will be better than X4 Foundations when it's released in 2099. There should be rules put in place to protect customers from developers with this money grab scam. If you see the amount of games that are shit nowadays and actually do money grabs, it would be so upsetting. Like, they could make so much money by actually releasing a crappy game than they could by trying to fund 2 games and spending the money on the game. How is it a cash grab when they're spending the money on the game? That's a ridiculous thing to say. You might not agree with the way they fund the project, which is an entirely different question, and probably could have a little bit more sort of like scope to your complaint, but that's clearly either a troll or a misunderstanding. No RTX support for Star Citizen. That is currently true. I think they asked Brian Chambers about it recently, and it might have been someone else, but I think it was Brian Chambers. And they said they'll adopt technologies that are sensible and kind of makes, I suppose, easy is what they kind of meant as well to absorb in the shorter term. But ray tracing for them at the moment, RTX support, is not something they've seen the benefits for Star Citizen at the moment. How much will Carrack variants cost? I have $5. I'm not sure if there's going to be any Carrack variants beyond what you can just customise yourself. There's not going to be any hull variants to my understanding. When do I think the Kraken will be in game? It's not actually that complex as a ship. It doesn't have any super new mechanics. They need to have ship to station docking and ship to ship docking first though. You could see it at the end of this year if you're really fucking lucky and they're focusing on it for some reason. Like if it's in Squadron 42, you could see it by the end of the year. BoredGamer, what do you think the next capital ships that CIG concept might be? We could see a battlecruiser. We could see the Pegasus. We could see... yeah, battlecruisers, cruisers. Will we have pets or mounts like in WoW? Pets are supposed to be a thing. They have not talked about mounts beyond bikes. So I think that's unlikely to have mounts, maybe. If you see a horse galloping around in a studio for mocap, then they're going to have mounts. But yeah, but we're supposed to have pets, but we're not sure what form those pets will be. How do you think they'll adjust the time to kill of foot players when medical is added? 3-second killing doesn't leave room for medcare. So they've talked about this actually previously. There's going to be a lot more knockdowns and stuns. So you're going to be able to be knocked down to the floor, you're going to be able to be bleeding on the floor, but get up after a while, be able to jab yourself with a med pen to get you back on your feet for a little while, things like that. So if you down someone and get to them quickly, you're going to be able to keep them down. But some people, once you down them once, they might be able to get back up after a little while. I think that's the idea. Higher times to kill, not just instant headshot death. Once server meshing is completed, I hope all gameplay mechanics will be fully fleshed out. Do you fear the sheer number of iterations of gameplay mechanics could hamper the fun of the game? No, I think it improves it, doesn't it? They need to keep on iterating on them and balance them. What level of consequence of death do you personally want to see? That's a really deep question. But in game, no. So risk and reward needs to be a thing. but I don't want people to be entirely shat on unforgivingly for dying. So I don't really know. There needs to be a financial and time loss. But I'm not sure what that should be, because I'm not sure yet how long it's supposed to take to earn ships and progress. So I need that really before I can comment more on it. I mean, I really think about it and sort of like come up with an appropriate mechanism to work that out. But yeah, we need to know more information first. We need to know what's insurable and stuff like that, because if you spend money for the top insurance for all your gear and everything, obviously that's going to cost you a reasonable amount of money, having all your weapons, all your gear and everything insured, then death or losing one of your lives shouldn't be as bad. I think maybe if you don't mind spending the in-game credits on having your really good medical insurance and really good ship insurance and equipment insurance and buying the best equipment, then maybe death shouldn't be so big a deal for you. Don't know, it's an interesting one. To allow for smaller orgs, they should put in an alliance mechanic like Eve. Yeah, definitely, I want to see alliances, and I like the idea of an alliance mechanic like Eve. There's a lot of stuff in Eve that I really like for Star Citizen. I love Eve. I think, not so much recently, but I used to love Eve anyway. Won't it be super crowded if CIG manages to get everyone on 1 or 2 servers with over 2.2 million subscribers? Yeah, but they're not going to be all online at once. Things like that. I expect to see a lot more accounts by the time they're mainstream. I'd see at least 5 million is what I'd expect. By the end of next year, I would expect to see potentially 3.5 to 4 million. Would it be cool to get hit by a torpedo and it rock the ship so hard you fall down, like in sci-fi movies? Has this been ever talked about? So they talked about inertia and like things knocking you about when you're running around, not in a seat. And they said they weren't going to do it to start with, and then they said they might do it afterwards. But yeah, I think that if you're not in a seat or a terminal or locked down or otherwise secured, in some situations that maybe that should happen. Maybe you should get knocked down or winded or whatever. So far, mining gives you raw materials to sell on. How will the Pioneer change the use of raw materials? Will the largest use of raw materials be giving it to players to create bases? I think that's a use of materials, and there's obviously going to be missions and demand and supply for iron and all these materials for planets and stuff. I think there's going to be one of the uses. It's probably going to be the largest player use for it. But it's only going to be very specific materials. I'd like to see space stations as well being built. That's what I would like, and manufacture in general. I'd like to see a manufacture in players' hands. It makes sense, and then you've got a lot of reasons to use those materials. Could you fly in Star Citizen using a Space Orb 360 capper? Is that the Space Orb of the mouse? Let's have a look. Yeah, it's the gamepad mouse thing, isn't it? Yeah, fuck it, why not? Sure, Chris Roberts will be soon. Will the Retaliator get a new model redo? I don't believe so, but expect it to get some light updates and some materials changes. I don't think it's getting a full rework or anything. Polaris when? I don't know. They'll probably start working on it towards the end of this year. Do you think any capital ships that will be in Squadron 42 that we haven't seen, like a cruiser? Potentially, yeah. I mean, I suspect to see the Pegasus. There's going to be a load of alien ships. Hear any news regarding points of interest in ArcCorp? Actually, no. Something I don't know much about. Points of interest wise, and obviously we've previously had Area 18, but expect that to be massively revamped. Has there been any talk about VR support? Not more than they're keeping it in mind. I'm expecting to see it in Squadron 42 significantly before Star Citizen, but I'm expecting VR support maybe in 2021 sort of thing. But maybe we'll see it. Maybe we'll see it at release. It's definitely better budget to work at release. Would we be able to see us finish Stanton system this year? Sort of. I think that that's a possibility. I think they're still add more things to the Stanton system and points of interest and stuff, but that will be true constantly of the game anyway. Like, we might not see the Aaron Halo in Stanton until next year, even if they do get everything else done. Thanks for the love, appreciated. Just wanted to say thanks for keeping us updated with all the videos. Appreciate it. Thank you. I have the disposable money to buy something like a Carrack or 890 jump. I just don't know if I'd ruin the game for myself if I did. Stick with an Avenger or live the Fleet Captain dream. If you don't know at the moment, then stick with the Avenger for now. And work your way up to the Fleet Captain dream when you can, when it's available in game. That's my advice. When will an updated model for the Retaliator be? We talked about that. Heard anything about these knives? Yeah, there's going to be hand-to-hand combat and knives, stabby stab. You should see that this year, in fact. What will security post Korea be like when they update it? Will it be easy to get rid of crime stack? I don't know. I don't know what the changes we'll see to that station will be, and intentions for the future. Would we be able to do missions on Ark Hub like bunker missions on Hurston? I don't know what our interaction is going to be with city-type planets. There might be multiple landing zones on there. There might be places to move to and travel to, or it might just be locked to just a couple of points of interest like Ark, like Area 18. You could potentially have missions that are just on the ground there, I suppose, though. You have to walk around the city and do on foot, maybe?
Happy January, everybody.
Happy January! Thanks, dude. Osrian, thanks for the 17 months of subs. Appreciated. Will Star Citizen remake Planet Earth somewhere in the verse so I can fly down to boy Kevin's house and kick his ass virtually? They want to have Earth in there. They've showed concepts of Shanghai and places like that, and New York and things. What would you say to CIG having Star Citizen servers which only had start from scratch players with an Avenger Titan or something? Know what I mean? I think that Flymo, I think the diversity of having people start with different stuff is important. Otherwise you're just going to have people that they're there for more time, or organisations, more people buy those ships quick anyway. Do you see what I mean? Inequality is just part of the game. Kind of deal with it. It's not going to ruin your experience unless you're planning a gold rush. So the only thing that the only thing I think this affects, the people starting with different ships, is the gold rush aspect. If there is an area of the game that is slightly more dangerous, or is likely to have PvP, where players can make a lot of money, and players rush there and fight there, the players with the better ships will win, or the bigger orc will win, if you see what I mean. And they'll get access to that area. I'm not sure if Star Citizen is going to have a day one gold rush like that, or not. But I actually feel having lots of different ships available for players straight away means that there's more interaction with NPCs and stuff. Because are you saying that the NPCs wouldn't start with the same? They'd have to all start with Titans as well, and then what, they slowly get better and better ships, or do they just immediately have the better ships and you have to fight them later? There's so much going on there. Is there a reason why gravity only affects you whilst in atmosphere and not at least a bit in outer space? Yeah, because it's fucking easier for the flight model. We'll have to see if we're affected at all in the new flight model. However, I doubt we will be. I think it will just be on planets. It's just easier to calculate, I suspect. Do you think CIG is being a bit flash and wasteful with the money for development, or are they making most of it and spending it well? I don't think they're being flash with it. I think they're certainly getting inefficiency with the way they're spending it. I just don't know how much. I'm glad they are spending it on the game. That's good. They're pretty transparent with what they do. I would have liked more progress. Simple question with persistence changes in 2.6. Do you think that will include proper bed logging? 3.6 he means, I think. It used to work, but it's no longer reliable. It's because there's server restarts and shit going on like that and crashing and things. Yeah, so I think we'll... 3.5 and 3.6, I think we'll see a significant improvement to persistent logging, but don't expect much until we have full persistence. Full persistence, what they want to get in this year, that will be when logging in and out matters and works a lot better. I suspect, anyway. What prices and how many variants do you expect for the Titan suits? I don't know. I think there are probably 2 base models, a military one and a utility one, and then a load of different customization, both of them, maybe. Maybe we'll have to have ones for salvage and ones for mining. And maybe $70 to $130 sort of price range. Well, where do we have about medium-sized settlements? Like, we've seen big cities and little outposts. They might have a few buildings, but what about medium-sized stuff? We know there's going to be little junk towns. Basically, they need to add more props and more buildings to their procedural generation set. Once they have that, then they can have these medium-sized settlements and large towns rather than whole cities. When will the Reliant series come out? The Reliant variants are pegged for 3.5, coming at the end of March. When do you think they will add armor on ship and rebalance shields accordingly? The new flight model for 3.5 is what I'm expecting. Do you think there'll be a rebalance of weapons and shields? There has to be. A Hayboard, re-death of a spaceman, and risk versus reward. Comments. Do you think UE medics could come to your character's aid promptly, like they have medics in Cyberpunk 2077 demo? That was really cool in the 2077 demo, with the sort of like slightly militarized medics for medical insurance when he activated her beacon. I think that that might be a part of insurance, that you can have medical insurance. Maybe it's a bit quite pricey. Have you read Mistborn? No. How popular do you think the Gladiator? How popular do you think is the Gladiator in the PU? Not popular at the moment. I almost never see it or hear anyone talk about it. Is it a good ship to buy, or are there better alternatives? Better alternatives at the moment. There's not a ship really to deploy them from at the moment. Once we have carriers, once we have reasons to use bombers, I suspect there'll be a lot more of them in the verse and a lot more used. Will they eventually have separate landing pads, hangars within a spaceport depending on what ships you have? Yeah, I think that's the plan. Lots more physicalized internal hangars. What is the gameplay loop that you would like to see in Star Citizen? Any economy stuff? More economy stuff. It's all of them. I mean, it's literally all of them. Salvage, science, medical. I want to board ships. I need all of them. During the holidays, you said you would go with Kit and your friends for games and relaxing. What is the favourite tabletop board game of the moment? We had this samurai one we were playing a lot of, which I cannot fucking remember what it's called. It's basically like 7 samurai, but they also turn fairy when they get injured. That was pretty cool. We played Dead of Winter. Dead of Winter is a pretty solid board game. There's a Sherlock Holmes one I want to play, which we haven't played yet, which is the old Sherlock Holmes games. King of Tokyo, played a load of that. We play a reasonable amount of board games. Planning to play some Board Game Simulator the weekend coming as well. What is your optimism towards the developers of the game separating itself from the corporate overseas and deliver solid game updates and contents in the coming years? I don't know how to answer that because I'm not really sure what is my optimism towards it. I am optimistic they'll continue for the next few years to deliver updates every 3 months. I would expect to see Squadron 42 in 2020, and I expect it to be as big as Half-Life 2. That is what I want from Star Citizen Squadron 42. And people will know that's a big statement for people that were there for when Half-Life 2 came out. So it's a industry changer. Will in-game bought ships be cheaper after alpha/beta, or will credits be easy to get, or will it be pay to win? We don't 100% know. Is the answer to that. The economy is supposed to be dynamic, so you should see ships changing in price. You'll be able to buy them off players. You'll also see when materials are expensive in certain areas that things will go up and down in price. The game should not be pay to win in a way that breaks the game. However, there are definitely elements of pay to win in the game at the moment, because you can buy ships and that will give you a time advantage or whatever. But that doesn't mean the game is going to be shit because of that. It's a brute fact of the way they funded their game, and I don't think it will be a broken pay-to-win model in any shape or form. Question: how many spacefaring alien life forms are you hoping to see long term? Well, we know we've got the Tavaran, the Kurthak, the Banu, the Vandal, Xi'an, humans. I'd like to see some more as well. I'd like to see some weird aliens, lots of different like animals, maybe some xenomorphy type stuff. Eventually they could have like a weird alien race, they could have a Borg type race, because they can do machines and shit in game, they just don't want them in the UVE, well, interacting with humans as NPCs, I think that's what it is. It's like a Tyranid type race, bug type race. Want the devs to continue updating the game after they got the release with all 100 systems, with just new shipped weapons and also new systems which the humans just don't know yet. I'm not sure what that question is, but I suspect that we will see new systems after the 120 I think they've got planned on paper now. After that, I think they will continue to release more. Where can you hire NPC for ships? You can't yet. I would want Star Citizen to be a non-starter ship game. I feel that working towards your own first ship should definitely be a goal. Make players use public transport and rentals in the beginning. I think that's going to be, for a lot of players, for most players, that's going to be what they do. But you can also jump on a multi-crew ship with someone that's got an interest or a javelin. Will there be fuel gameplay for land vehicles? Yeah. Yeah, the racing version of the thingamajig is supposed to have fuel, isn't it? So I suspect so, yeah. Do you think there will have the ability to have player-made cities? Definitely player-made outposts and sort of like areas and villages and things. I suppose you could eventually call this a city when you get big enough, so maybe. I'm not sure what structures we'll be able to build beyond some defense structures, some like mining structures and things, and outposts though. So maybe we'll have multi-story buildings in the future as well. So if we already answered this, when do you think COG will release more to the roadmap? CIG will release, I'm expecting this week or next week, we should see some more updates. They're scheduling out 3.7 and 3.8 at the moment, so and obviously changes to 3.6. So expect to see more over the next couple of weeks. Stock market thoughts. I love the idea of a stock market. I like stock markets in games, and they can have it actually directly tied and simulated to the rest of the economy. So will the stealth gameplay get a big boost from the scanning stuff and heat in 3.5? Mostly asking for your opinion, really. Yeah, so I think it will have more uses then, and I think once you have some stealth missions and you have reasons for people to ambush each other, then stealth really comes into play. Being able to do missions entirely in stealth and stuff like that would be really useful. Do you think they will implement taxes and tariffs when selling and buying commodities? Yes. I think it will be based on the landing zone or station you're at. Might also get a different price if you're part of a guild, because there's going to be NPC guilds in the game, so like the Bounty Hunters Guild and the Traders Guild and things like that. If Star Citizen gave you the power to pitch your dream ship to them and do it for you, what would it be like? It's a good question. I don't fucking know. I don't know at all. I don't think about me much when it comes to things I want in game that aren't already visible on the roadmap. But like, I can see how I want things to be once I already know what they've got planned. But I don't really. I don't know. Will we see something in Star Citizen for completing Squadron 42? Yes. Based on your progress in Squadron 42, you'll get access to certain things like the F8 Lightning Heavy Fighter, things like that, from playing Squadron 42. But probably you'll see some like badges and ribbons and maybe bobbleheads and flare and stuff as well. Maybe some other military equipment. Do you think they're going to allow player-to-player monetary transactions apart from service beacons? Yes, they want to have that as part of the group system. Don't know when that's coming, hopefully this year. You want a BoredGamer bobblehead? Were you the only one? Any chance we'll see a Star Wars game from CIG? I think the chance is minute. I think you've got more chance of seeing me make a Star Wars game. But they want to have mods in Star Citizen eventually. I still believe that's the case, and private servers. So I suspect we'd see a good, eventually, player mod for Star Citizen. Are there any plans to create resort cities, also called pleasure or vacation planets? I believe so. I believe we will see some planets that are just pretty, and that have cities and HABs and stuff there to buy. Do you know if the 350R will have less cargo capabilities than the other 300 series of ships? It's a potential, but I don't know. It's potential because obviously it's focusing on racing, so they might have extra room for fuel or whatever, but more room for intakes. So there's a potential it will have less cargo capacity than the rest of the series. I'm hyped for the Merchantman, but do you think they can deliver? And how do you think it will be in game? And sorry for asking again, but when will we see it in game? Thanks, mate. They're working on the Banner Merchantman. Well, they're going to be working on the Banner Merchantman in earnest once the Defender is out with 3.5 gone out, because then they have the Banu style guide a bit more focused. It's supposed to have shops on board that you can. I'm not sure how you man them or if they're automated or whatever. There's a tiny potential we could see it at the end of 2019, but I think it's more sort of like mid-2020 ship. Do you think we'll see a common Alpha UEC chest for organisations to purchase water cruise ships, etc.? I think that will be an option for organisations to have tax on each of your missions of like a small amount, or the ability to donate UEC to a war chest, or to have group sized, so like group hangars and stuff, organisation hangars for ships to share. Has there been any further news on object container streaming developments and Greg's pasties? Not on Greg's pasties at the moment, but object container streaming wise, they moved out the 2 remaining tasks. I'm not sure if they've just been absorbed into these new tasks for 3.5 or not. So there is asynchronous disconnection refactor, which is supposed to basically prevent server crashes and client crashes and infinite loading screens and that sort of bugs, get the game a bit more stable. And then there's network OCS stall fixes, which is fixing network related stalls, typically related to binding, unbinding stuff and culling. So I think the remaining object container streaming features have been absorbed into them. Server-side object container streaming, don't know. I'm expecting it this year though, and I'm expecting more players in servers this year as well. It's a shame that they moved out the parallel network jobs from 3.5 as well. That was the other big thing that I missed from 3.5. But they could still potentially have more players on servers. They might test it. We'll have to wait and see. I don't know. Will there be city streets and neighbourhoods detailed to the extent of Grand Theft Auto 5? I mean, you're going to see it at a much bigger scale than Grand Theft Auto 5. There's not going to be as much to do, typically, in a city, I don't think. And not all of the internals and areas are going to be walkable. But there might be full-scale missions, city-side, FPS combat. Considering the size of Hurston, do you think CIG will add more landing zones there, or even small cities eventually? Yeah, I do. Maybe not on Hurston, but maybe on Hurston. I'm fairly new to Star Citizen, wondering if you have a new video on how to change ship loadouts. Also, can weapons be bought with rec and used in the persistent universe? Yeah, assume rec rentals are always just for Arena Commander. You can buy stuff in-game though now, without VUC in-game. And I think I've got some, if you just search for Star Citizen tutorial, you'll find probably the top video is my tutorial in the game, which will tell you how to do pretty much everything in a nice little compact package. Question: do you think CIG will listen to backers and allow cargo carrying in the Valkyrie? I think they listen. It's just it might not be what they want intention-wise. They don't want all ships to be able to do everything, and the Valkyrie is supposed to be this military ship that can carry vehicles and people, but not cargo. And just because people want it doesn't mean we're going to get it. I think it's sensible for the Valkyrie to carry cargo, but I can also see from CIG's point of view that we don't want all ships doing everything. So, please make videos on the weekly updates to the Squadron 42 roadmap. I will add that to my weekly news. I'll also do the Squadron 42 roadmap stuff as part of that. Had rumours of, I don't know how to say, virus, just like abandoned stations got killed out of a virus in Dead Space, would be spooky and also have some horror things. Is that planned? They said there might be xenomorph missions and there might be some odd missions, so I suspect that's something that will be themed in the future, some spooky virusy things or some weird biolab stuff. I very much expect to see that. Expect every fucking science fiction trope to be used. Do you think they can make elements of flight more exciting? Yeah, I think that's what a new flight model plans to do as well. Will there be any kind of soft leveling system? No. Well, I mean, money, your ship access and reputation, and your general skill at the game by getting better at the game. Those are the soft leveling system you have. I think the NPCs literally level. Well, their stats change based on what they're doing. How should CIG fix the problem of unwanted passengers aboard ships in armistice zones? Should we be able to shoot the intruders without boarding permission or something else? They've actually talked about this in 2 different ways. Armistice zones, they're going away eventually, and stuff's going to be handled with security forces, defense turrets, things like that, and penalties with the law and reputation system. So you can't have someone just constantly ramming you on a pad because they'll just get blown out of the sky eventually and get pushed out of the system by security, like more permanently. Intruders on ships, they want the ability for you to go give permissions to people, so only certain people should be on your ships, and also request everyone to get off your ship. People didn't get off your ship within a certain amount of time, they are free to be killed without you getting a crime rating. They are intruders. That's what Dan Truffin said, I believe. I don't know when they're going to update the amount of players per server. We could see more players in server in 3.5. It's just they moved that feature out of 3.5, which is currently not sitting anywhere, which is parallel network jobs, but it could be part of 3.5 still. Now, my answer about how long are you willing to wait for a finished game, which I hope it will be never be done in the traditional sense. I see what you mean. I want full persistent. I want a non-resetting game that has a load of the features and stuff by the end of. Really, I want reasons to play by the end of 2021, and no more resets would be great. But end of 2022, it's probably. I'd get a bit pissy if it didn't have anything by then. It was like, oh, just more stuff added to the Stanton system, eh? That would be annoying, wouldn't it? And that's reasonably to be pissed at then. The car in Cyberpunk, would you like to see something like that for city gameplay? Yeah, I would. I like the idea of highways and civilian cars and players driving cars around cities. If they can do it, that would be great. But, I mean, they've got public transport and you can get ships, so... And you've got to remember the core of the game is doing missions, doing these gameplay loops, and ship combat, and ship flight, and stuff like that. So, this is something that might not be in game, so we'll have to wait. What new concepts are you personally forward to the most? You'd love to see the Corsair, would you? It's the Titan suits. I want to see the Titan suits more than anything else, I think. When can we expect the Cutlass to get the fan pack? It's getting pretty hot. I don't know. We should have ship flare and bobbleheads and fans and things in the not too distant future. Maybe with the 3.5 release, we'll see some of the customization that we can have with the 300 series being that. They haven't really told us what it's going to be. I'm expecting paint and some interior stuff and loadout changes that we can make to ships before we buy them. Big streamers have put 50 people into groups and held massive PvE battles. Do you think CIG is under pressure now to deliver high caps or better server-side performance sooner with all the new attention? Yes, I do. Right. Not related to the 3.5, but what are your thoughts on the HES voice packs being integrated in Star Citizen? They sort of are, aren't they? I'd like it if they were Star Citizen kept them in mind when they were plodding forwards though, but I love HES voice packs, I think they're great. Right, any other questions? Because if not, I'm going to go eat. You should boycott them with the negative fans back. Right, I love you guys. Thank you very much for watching and participating here for me. What do I do if I feel a lump on my left testicle? Hastogen, you should go and see a doctor or healthcare professional. Basically, if the lump hurts, it's less likely to be an actual problem with cancer or something. It's actually oddly a good sign. Obviously, at the top of your testicles, you do have the tube. You should be able to feel a tube where it connects to the rest of yourself. But if it's on the side and doesn't hurt, that could be a sign of cancer. A lot of the time, it is a benign lump. If it's in your testicles, it's probably okay. There you are. Have some testicle knowledge. Nothing wrong with talking about cancer of the testicles, and I think all men should have them checked out if they're worried. It's nothing that people should be ashamed or even embarrassed about. Don't really get embarrassed me, and I think a lot of people would have their lives saved and have higher quality of life if they stopped fucking about and worrying about what other people thought or being embarrassed. Boom. Right, so we're going to host Bandy's Baron. I'm going to host Bandy's Baron because he's probably doing something interesting. I'm excited for hunting, actually. Hunting is one of the gameplay mechanics I really want, because I want to be a big game hunter in game. I want to be killing damn animals, like scary big things, not cats. Love you guys. You take care. We're going to go host Bandy's Baron, give him some love, force him to talk about me in my stream on his stream, so I get more exposure, and I will kiss you later. Or I don't know what. I don't know how to sign off. Never know how to sign off. Egg potato out.